Hematopoiesis is the most important part of our body because in our body there is the various cells are present which play a most important role for the clearance of the antigen and for the regulation of our body parts, and such as cells are produced in the process is known as the hematopoiesis. Hematopoiesis means cell differentiation. The cells which are differentiated or the cells which are renewing by in the process of the hematopoiesis. The totipotency are shows by the inner hematopoiesis. Totipotency means single cell have a ability to differentiate to many cells is known as the totipotency. One cell have a capacity to produce a variety of cells is known as the totipotency, and the hematopoietic stem cells is the totipotent cells, and the cells have a capacity to self renovation and have a capacity to the differentiation into the other cells is known as the hematopoiesis. And hematopoiesis is takes place in the bone marrow, and hematopoiesis have a two different types such as a myeloid progenitor and the lymphoid progenitor. According to the cell differentiation, it have a two types. First one is the myeloid progenitor, second one is the lymphoid progenitor. Firstly, we will be see about the lymphoid progenitor. Lymphoid progenitor is one of the part of the hematopoiesis process in which there is the four cells are produced. Four most important cells are produced such as the NK cells, other one is the B cells, third one is the T cells, and fourth one is the dendritic cells. NK cells. NK cells is known as the natural killer cells, and NK cells is a most important part of our body. NK cells are responsible for the clearance of the antigen, or it shows the antibody mediated cell cytotoxicity, or ADCC. It's shown by the NK cells. So NK cells also responsible for the clearance of the cancer cells, and NK cells are present in every part of the body, and it's mostly present in the lymph node, and NK cells play a most important role for the clearance of the antigen, and it shows the ADCC immune response. Such NK cells are produced in the hematopoiesis, and it is under the type of the lymphoid progenitor. Other cells are produced such as B cells. B cells are produced in the bone marrow, and B cells also mature in the bone marrow. That's why it's called the B cell. Uh, B cell. And B cells have two types. First one is the B cells, that is cytotoxic B cells. Mostly it known as the B cells, and other one is the memory cells. What happen in the bone marrow, there is a stem cells are produced, and the stem cells are differentiated and produce B cells and T cells. Okay, and B cells produce plasma cells, and plasma cells produce an antibody. Such an antibody are able to attach the antigen, or if there is any antigen will become, the B cells will be fight against such an antigen by producing antibody. But if such an antigen are comes in next time, so the memory cells are present in the B cells, which have a memory that the firstly will attend such a bacteria and kill such a bacteria. So memory cells have a memory against such a pathogen. So B cells is most important cells in our body. Other cell and B cell shows the antibody mediated cell cytotoxicity, or antibody mediated immune response, was shown by the uh, antibody mediated immune response was shown by the B cells, and the T cells is the other cells which is the type of the lymphoid progenitor, and the T cells are produced in the bone marrow, and T cells also uh, uh, matured in the thymus. Because of T cells produced in the bone marrow, but for maturation it will be get to the thymus. That's why it's known as the T cells. And other is the B cells are produced in the bone marrow and also matured in the bone marrow. That's why it's called the B cells. And T cells produced in bone marrow, but for maturation it will be go to the thymus. That's why it's called T cells. T cells have three types: cytotoxic T cells, helper T cell, and suppressors T cells. So cytotoxic T cells, and cytotoxic T cells are responsible for the clearance of the antigen, and other two cells such as T helper cells and T suppressor cells are play a most important role in the cell mediated immunity. And other cells such as the dendritic cells are seen in both, that is in myeloid progenitor and in lymphoid progenitor. Here is also the dendritic cells are present. So dendritic cells present in both, that is lymphoid progenitor and in the myeloid progenitor. So dendritic cells have only single work, that is dendritic cells shows the antigen in its surface. So dendritic cells are present in both lymphoid and myeloid progenitor.